They are two of the most ferocious, tenacious, and legendarily fearless animals on Earth. Both are compact, powerfully built carnivores that punch so far above their weight class that they have become symbols of toughness across cultures on 3 continents. Both will attack animals many times their size without hesitation. Both have been documented driving lions, leopards, and wolves away from kills, and both have reputations so extreme that wildlife biologists sometimes struggle to separate fact from the mythology that has grown up around them. The honey badger of Africa, the Middle East, and South Asia, the wolverine of the boreal forests and Arctic tundra of the Northern Hemisphere. Two animals that have never shared a habitat in the wild, yet are endlessly compared by people who recognize in both of them something that transcends ordinary predatory capability, a combination of physical toughness, psychological fearlessness, and sheer stubborn refusal to back down that has no equal among animals of their size anywhere on Earth. Today, WildForge explores every dimension that separates these two legendary animals, their evolutionary origins, their physical characteristics, their habitats, their hunting strategies, their extraordinary defensive capabilities, and the scientific reality behind reputations that have made them famous worldwide. Despite their similar reputations and broadly comparable body plans, the honey badger and the wolverine belong to completely different branches of the carnivore family tree, a taxonomic separation that reflects independent evolutionary paths toward a similar ecological niche. The honey badger, Mellivora capensis, belongs to the family Mustelidae, the mustelids, and is the sole member of its genus Mellivora. Despite its common name, the honey badger is not closely related to true badgers such as the European badger or the American badger. It belongs to its own distinct lineage within the mustelid family, and genetic studies suggest its closest living relatives are actually the weasels and martens rather than the badger subfamily. The honey badger is found across an enormous range spanning sub-Saharan Africa, North Africa, the Arabian Peninsula, the Middle East, and South and Central Asia, one of the broadest distributions of any mustelid species. It occupies a remarkable diversity of habitats within this range, from tropical rainforest to desert. The wolverine, gulo, also belongs to the family Mustelidae, making it a relative of the honey badger within the same broader family. However, the wolverine belongs to the subfamily Guloninae, the wolverine subfamily, and is the sole living member of the genus Gulo. Its closest living relatives within the mustelid family are the martens. The wolverine is a circumpolar species found across the boreal forest and Arctic tundra of North America, Europe, and Asia, a vast but cold and sparsely populated range that includes Canada, Alaska, Scandinavia, Russia, and Siberia, with small relic populations in the contiguous United States in states such as Montana, Idaho, and Wyoming. Both species represent what evolutionary biologists call convergent evolution toward a similar adaptive strategy, the ecological niche of the small but ferocious generalist predator and scavenger capable of competing with and displacing much larger carnivores. But they arrived at this strategy independently, in completely different parts of the world, under completely different environmental pressures. The physical differences between the honey badger and the wolverine reflect their different evolutionary origins and their different ecological contexts, though both share the compact, powerful build that characterizes their shared ecological strategy. The honey badger is a medium-sized mustelid. Adults typically weigh between 6 and 14 kilograms, with males considerably larger than females. The body is long and low-slung with short, powerful legs, a broad, flat head, small ears, and a thick, muscular neck. The honey badger's most immediately distinctive feature is its two-toned coloration. The dorsal surface, the top and sides of the head and body, is pale silver gray to white, while the ventral surface, the underside, face and legs, is jet black. This high contrast pattern is believed to serve as a warning coloration, advertising to potential predators and competitors that this animal is not worth the trouble of attacking. The honey badger's skin is one of its most impressive physical adaptations. It is exceptionally thick, up to 6 millimeters in some areas, remarkably loose relative to the underlying body, and almost entirely resistant to penetration by the bites of most predators, the stings of bees, and even the bites of venomous snakes. The claws on the front feet are massive, disproportionately large relative to body size, and are used for digging through extremely hard soil and termite mounds. The wolverine is a substantially heavier animal than the honey badger. Adults typically weigh between 8 and 25 kilograms, with a particularly wide size range reflecting both sexual dimorphism and geographic variation, making the largest wolverines significantly heavier than the largest honey badgers. The wolverine's body is similarly compact and powerfully built, with short legs, a broad head, small rounded ears, and a thick bushy tail that the honey badger lacks. The wolverine's fur is dense, dark brown, with pale buff to golden stripes running along each flank, markings that serve as identification rather than warning. The wolverine's fur is particularly remarkable for its frost-resistant properties. The guard hairs have a hydrophobic quality that prevents ice crystals from forming, making the wolverine's coat effective insulation in temperatures that would be fatal to most animals of comparable size. The wolverine's feet are proportionally very large, functioning somewhat like snowshoes, and its non-retractable claws provide excellent grip on ice and frozen ground. The wolverine's jaws deserve special mention. Its teeth and jaw muscles are adapted for bone crushing. The wolverine can consume frozen carcasses in temperatures below -40 degrees Celsius, cracking bones and tendons that no other carnivore its size could process. This ability to utilize frozen carcasses that other predators cannot access is central to the wolverine's winter survival strategy. The habitats of the honey badger and the wolverine could not be more different, and this ecological separation reflects their independent evolutionary paths under entirely different environmental pressures. The honey badger occupies an astonishing variety of environments across its vast range. It has been recorded in tropical rainforest, savanna, semi-arid woodland, desert, scrubland, and agricultural land, making it one of the most ecologically flexible carnivores in the world. In Africa, it is found from sea level to elevations above 4,000 meters in the Ethiopian highlands. In Asia, it occupies habitats ranging from the forests of India to the arid steppes of Central Asia and the semi-deserts of the Middle East. This habitat flexibility is a direct reflection of the honey badger's dietary generalism and its extraordinary ability to find food under almost any conditions. The wolverine is a specialist of cold, remote wilderness. It is found primarily in boreal forest, the vast belt of coniferous forest that stretches across northern Canada, Scandinavia, and Russia, and in alpine and Arctic tundra above the tree line. The wolverine requires large territories with low human density, deep winter snowpack, and abundant prey. It is considered an indicator species for intact wilderness ecosystems. Its presence suggests a landscape that has not been significantly altered by human activity. This wilderness dependency has made the wolverine one of the carnivores most vulnerable to the combined effects of habitat loss, human encroachment, and climate change, which is reducing the deep snowpack the wolverine depends on for denning and food caching. Both the honey badger and the wolverine are dietary generalists, capable of taking an enormous variety of prey and consuming a wide range of food sources, but their specific feeding strategies reflect their different habitats and physical adaptations. The honey badger is perhaps the most versatile predator of its size on Earth. Its diet includes rodents, birds, eggs, reptiles, insects, larvae, roots, berries, and, perhaps most famously, honey and bee larvae, which it locates using its exceptional sense of smell and extracts by destroying entire bee colonies, apparently impervious to the stings of thousands of bees simultaneously. The honey badger has a remarkable relationship with the greater honey-guide bird, a mutualistic partnership in which the bird leads the honey badger to bee colonies and the honey badger opens the hive, allowing both species to feed. This is one of the very few documented examples of cooperative hunting between a mammal and a bird. One of the honey badger's most extraordinary dietary behaviors is its predation on venomous snakes. Honey badgers regularly hunt and consume highly venomous species, including puff adders, cobras, and black mambas, despite being bitten in the process. The honey badger shows a partial resistance to certain snake venoms, particularly the neurotoxic components, that allows it to recover from bites that would kill most similarly sized animals. After being bitten, a honey badger may lose consciousness briefly, then recover and continue feeding on the snake. The wolverine's feeding strategy is built around two complementary capabilities: active hunting and scavenging of frozen carcasses. The wolverine is a powerful hunter, capable of taking prey many times its own size. Documented kills include caribou, mountain goats, and Dall sheep, typically by targeting animals weakened by deep snow, injury, or starvation. In summer, wolverines take smaller prey including rodents, ground squirrels, birds, and eggs. In winter, when large prey is difficult to catch, wolverines rely heavily on the carcasses of animals killed by wolves, bears, or harsh weather, their bone-crushing jaws allowing them to access nutritional content that other scavengers cannot reach. The wolverine is also a remarkable food cacher, burying meat and other food items in snow or under rocks and returning to them over periods of weeks or months. This caching behavior is essential for winter survival in an environment where food can be scarce for extended periods. This is the characteristic that has made both the honey badger and the wolverine legendary, and it is worth examining the scientific reality behind reputations that have sometimes grown larger than the animals themselves. The honey badger's fearlessness is genuinely well documented and scientifically verified. Field observations and camera trap footage have repeatedly captured honey badgers confronting and driving away lions, leopards, hyenas, and African wild dogs from kills. Behavior that is genuinely astonishing in an animal that rarely exceeds 14 kilograms. This fearlessness appears to be a genuine psychological trait rather than an absence of threat recognition. Honey badgers clearly perceive the danger presented by a lion, yet charge regardless. Several factors contribute to this fearlessness: the thick, loose skin that makes it virtually impossible for predators to get a killing grip, the powerful musculature that allows it to twist inside its own skin and bite an attacker even while being held, the musk glands that can release a suffocating odor when the animal is threatened, and a pain tolerance that appears genuinely exceptional even by mustelid standards. The wolverine's reputation for ferocity is similarly well documented, though it operates in a different ecological context. In the boreal forest and tundra, wolverines regularly steal kills from wolves, bears, and cougars, an act that requires not just physical capability, but a willingness to confront animals that dramatically outweigh them. Wolverines have been documented chasing grizzly bears from carcasses and following wolf packs in anticipation of leftover kills. Like the honey badger, the wolverine appears to make a calculated assessment that its physical toughness, particularly its exceptionally thick skull, powerful neck muscles, and bone-crushing jaws, gives it a genuine advantage in confrontations with larger predators that would rather abandon a kill than sustain injury fighting for it. Both animals deploy an important strategic insight. Large predators are not primarily concerned with defeating a smaller challenger, but with avoiding injury. A lion that abandons a carcass to a honey badger does not do so because it fears the honey badger. It does so because the risk of injury from a desperate, tenacious, skin-armored opponent is not worth the nutritional value of the disputed meal. The conservation situations of the honey badger and the wolverine reflect their different habitats and their different relationships with human-modified landscapes. The honey badger is listed as least concern on the IUCN Red List. Its vast range, dietary flexibility, and remarkable adaptability have allowed it to maintain populations across most of its distribution despite significant human pressure. However, honey badgers are heavily persecuted in many parts of their range, particularly by farmers and beekeepers who consider them pests, and by people who kill them for traditional medicine. They are also caught in traps set for other animals and killed on roads throughout their range. Despite this pressure, the species as a whole remains abundant. The wolverine faces a considerably more uncertain conservation future. It is listed as vulnerable on the IUCN Red List, and populations across much of its range are declining or fragmented. The wolverine's requirement for large, intact wilderness areas with deep winter snowpack makes it particularly vulnerable to two of the most pervasive conservation threats of the 21st century: habitat fragmentation through roads, development, and resource extraction, and climate change, which is reducing winter snowpack depth and duration across much of the wolverine's range. Female wolverines require deep, persistent snow for denning. They dig into snow banks to create natal dens where they give birth and raise their young. And research has demonstrated that wolverine reproductive success is directly linked to the persistence of deep snow into late spring. So, what is the real difference between a honey badger and a wolverine? At the physical level, the honey badger's two-toned silver and black warning coloration and uniquely tough, loose, thick skin versus the wolverine's dense, frost-resistant fur, bone-crushing jaws, and large snowshoe-like feet, physical packages precisely engineered for their respective environments. At the habitat level, the honey badger thrives across the warm landscapes of Africa and Asia, while the wolverine dominates the frozen wilderness of the boreal and Arctic North. Two animals that will never meet in the wild yet are remarkably parallel in their ecological strategies. At the feeding level, the honey badger's partnership with the honey guide bird, its resistance to snake venom, and its immunity to bee stings represent unique dietary adaptations found nowhere else in the mammal world. The wolverine's ability to crack frozen bones in Arctic temperatures and cache food under snow for months represents an equally extraordinary set of cold climate adaptations. And at the level of sheer fearlessness, both animals have demonstrated repeatedly and convincingly that physical size is not the primary determinant of competitive success, that tenacity, toughness, and a complete psychological refusal to retreat can compensate for a very significant size disadvantage when facing larger predators. Both the honey badger and the wolverine remind us that evolution does not always reward the largest or the fastest. Sometimes it rewards the toughest, the most stubborn, and the most completely unwilling to give up. Thank you for watching.